Just need a moment to now freeze. Give me a minute, yeah, freeze. I'm feeling happy now, freeze. I'm looking good now, freeze. I'm feeling grateful now.
Okay, it's Tiffany here, Mellow Vybes. I am going for a walk. I was, or I guess I am, maybe going to a pool party that my friend invited me to like several hours ago, and it apparently started at 2. It's like almost 4 o'clock right now. I was just like, well, I don't know what's going on. I said I would be down to go, that I'll be fully clothed and masked, but sure. And I was like, well, I don't know what happened to her, but then it's my friend where I can't expect timeliness, so she like just got back to me. And so I was like, well, I'm dressed, I'll go for a walk. Feeling 90s today. My sister got me this shirt. Well, she didn't. She ordered it for herself, and it was like, you know, the 90s style's coming back. I'm like, I've seen. Thank you. I've already relived it, and cool, because I loved the way I dressed back then. And she didn't really care for it for herself, and I was like, well, I'll take it. You didn't give me a birthday present. And I literally have a shirt. I had a shirt just like this in 99, 2000, and I wore it all the time. So I pulled out the photo album and was showing her, although mine had straps. I didn't have this flower thing either, but I wore it all the time. And so I was like, I need my glasses, so I need some sunglasses. I have like 20 pairs of sunglasses, but I was like, let me pull these out because these are very much 90s. And I've had them since I was 12, so that was like 98. Not even sure if you can see me right now with lighting, but having a new white top makes me realize how not white my shoes are, which I definitely won't be wearing later when I go out for real. I don't know what I'm gonna wear actually, but I should actually probably throw these shoes away. Not entirely that comfortable anymore. Was I just covering the sound? Okay, I'm trying to get used to like filming, walking around and filming. I've probably only done like 2 walking videos, but I was also like thinking about stuff, about how like when inspiration strikes, because inspiration did strike last night or this morning. It was after midnight. I watched that movie Carnival on Netflix. It just came out. It's Brazilian, and this is probably the first time that I actually listened to something that is originally Portuguese in Portuguese, because I would normally switch it to Spanish, but I was just like, let me I'll leave it, and I put on Spanish subtitles. But there was like some good messaging in the movie, just about, you know, having courage, like how you have to have courage to love and to like continue like navigating life when it feels like things are against you. And yeah, so that was like a really good message that I was sitting with. It was reminding me of a certain song that I really like, that is also about having courage. To me, it's about having courage, like the song I'll Come To by James Blake. And so then I was like going through my journal, and I was actually looking for a specific journal entry, but then I ended up looking through all these journal entries where I journaled about that song, I journaled about some other things, some other like just moments in life. It's just funny how like things can really change from moment to moment, from one year to the next. I was really like writing about how I used to feel, and how like in different like relationships, and where shadows would come up, and where I really could notice in from relationship to relationship the points in time where I was and where I wasn't working on myself. Like I've been in self-development for over 20 years. Like since I was about 12, I was actively working in self-development and researching and studying and working on myself. And it's a constant practice, but obviously there are times where we're not as consistent as we should be. And so it was a journal entry about how I could notice going over different relationships when I wasn't working on myself and when I was, and my responses to things and certain stuff like that. And what going forward, what I expected or wanted in a relationship and what I didn't. And then like poems that I wrote from that journal entry and that I wrote from other journal entries that really ended up being like, it's all about setting your intentions, right? Because it's the poems that I wrote ended up really resonating and being like kind of like a, I don't know, like a premonition or whatever to then what I found with my fiance, which was like 6 months after I wrote a lot of these poems. And then like going through all these journal entries and stuff, I ended up writing another poem, and more so again going back to that James Blake song, and my entry on that, and just about whatever. I ended up like writing this poem that I would say is like one of the best poems that I've written, if I say so myself. It was just like everything that I was feeling, that I've been feeling in the last few weeks or month. And I haven't written since last month, which was like a total place of turmoil from where I wrote that poem. And this poem was just like this place of feeling, I don't know, just inspired and courageous, and just like I'm gonna be as real as I can possibly be and not like overthink, which is something I'm constantly working through because I overthink a lot. Not as much as I used to, because I'm someone who always just lived in my head. So yeah, not gonna share the poem, but not yet anyway. I wrote it and then sent it to my fiance actually. So he's the only person who's seen and heard it, because I sent a voice note too of me reading the poem. Yeah, I probably want to get into maybe some more like relationship stuff, and like I did a video on like hypnotherapy and love, and how that has helped me heal certain parts that attracted wrong people and all that stuff. And so I kind of want to get into more about like how my work like works in relationships, and it's definitely allowed me to be like more open, less guarded, which is big because I'm a crab, I'm a Cancer. Like I literally just am inside myself. But if you are interested in some of my poetry, my newest book of poetry, Spirit Excavation, you can find pretty much everywhere that books are sold online. Just look up Spirit Excavation, TiffanyPye, that's Pye, and you will find me. You will find my book. Super proud of that body of work. It was really, that's all the journal entries I was reading, the poems that I wrote from those journal entries are in that book. So super deep feelings that I was having in all those poems. Most of the poems. There were a couple like older ones that are in that book. But anyway, yeah. I guess I just wanted to talk about when inspiration strikes. Just go with it. Like sometimes you want to go to sleep, and you're just like, no, it's too late, or it wasn't even that late at that point. It was maybe like 1 something in the morning, but like even the other day, actually it was probably earlier this week, I randomly woke up at like 5 a.m. and was like, I'm gonna work on a YouTube intro. So I'm always like, I don't have time for these things. I just like do a video and I put it up about like whatever I'm talking about, whatever's on my mind, whatever is, you know, related to my work in Mellow Vybes. But I was like, no, I'm gonna do a YouTube intro. And I just was like, I'm gonna stay up and I'm just gonna do it. And you just gotta go with it sometimes, or all the times, because sometimes if you don't go with it, you can lose it. Which, if you haven't read or listened to, I think I have the audiobook of Elizabeth Gilbert's, who wrote Eat, Pray, Love. Her book that I don't remember the title of at all right now. I feel like the word big is in the title. Anyway, it's all about like inspiration and like, you know, your work as a creative to fulfill the idea that comes to you, how ideas are like gifts. And if you don't use it, if it's just like this idea that you've had for years, like, okay, like how it's kind of like an idea is its own entity. And if you're just gonna not do anything with it, it's gonna move on to somebody else who will. And that's why there'll be times where you know, years later you'll be like, hey, I had that idea. Oh my gosh, like how did they even think of that? Like that's something that I thought of a long time ago. It's like, well, did you do anything with it? No. So somebody else did. And yeah, that was like a really cool concept. That's a part of what got me to start moving on things, because I was like, yeah, you don't want things to like pass. I actually still have an idea that I haven't seen anyone else have, that I think I had like 10-15 years ago. So yeah, I would need like a developer, engineer, or whatever to do that, because that's not even anything I could do on my own. But but something to think about, right? Don't let ideas sit with you, and when inspiration hits, go with it in that moment. Do something. Write it down so you don't forget it. Whatever you gotta do. Do a voice note. I do several voice notes. There's so many. Like my phone is like filled with voice notes, and sometimes I do like voice journal entries, just so like I'm not forgetting anything. And yeah, so that's the message for today.